Good evening, you are tuned in to AWANI Tonight with me, Cynthia Ng. The floods affecting Terengganu and Kelantan is projected to be more severe than that of 2014. According to Deputy Prime Minister Dato Sri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, this is based on early warning system forecasts from the Malaysian Meteorological Department, Met Malaysia.
Zahid said the high tide phenomenon expected to hit the east coast next week could worsen the situation by preventing river water from flowing out into the sea. While Pahang and Johor remain unaffected by the floods, continuous heavy rain could impact these states in December. Zahid said Pasir Mas and Tanah Merah in Kelantan were the worst hit areas so far. However, he assured that national agencies and assets remain on high alert and are fully prepared to address the crisis.
More than 60,000 people have been forced to evacuate their homes due to the floods in peninsular Malaysia. Kelantan is the worst hit out of the 6 states affected. According to Info Bencana, a total of 63,222 people were relocated to 447 relief centres nationwide as of 9 p.m. Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim says the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, has been instructed to streamline all federal and state agencies to ensure the safety of the victims. Other states impacted by the northeast monsoon season, which is expected to last until March next year, include Terengganu, Kedah, Perlis, Perak and Johor. Ananda Krishnan Taparanandam, chairman of Usaha Tegas, has passed away peacefully earlier today at the age of 86. In a statement, Usaha Tegas highlighted his immense contributions to nation building and the corporate world, noting that his philanthropic efforts have touched countless lives. The family has requested privacy during this time of mourning. Meanwhile, Astro Malaysia Holdings Berhad, in a statement, also mourns the loss of their shareholder, whose unparalleled contributions shaped Malaysia's media, telecommunications and entertainment industries. Astro Group CEO Ewan Smith said that the late Ananda Krishna's vision went beyond creating a company. He created a purpose. Through Astro, he touched lives by providing jobs, nurturing talents and fostering a shared sense of joy through the power of entertainment. The Transport Ministry will study the need to make insurance coverage compulsory for passengers in cars, says Transport Minister Anthony Loke. This follows a landmark federal court ruling that passengers travelling in a vehicle for work can be compensated by the vehicle's insurers for injuries suffered in an accident.
Loh said he will instruct his ministry to first look into the court's decision before deciding on any policy changes, as it would have a huge impact in terms of insurance costs. The landmark ruling by the federal court on November 14th involved an appeal by Chen Boon Kui, who challenged a Court of Appeal decision in favour of Berjaya Sompo Insurance Berhad. Chen was injured in a 2015 road accident while on a work assignment, travelling as a passenger in his wife's car driven by a colleague. Berjaya Sompo had denied liability, citing a policy exclusion for members of the vehicle owner's household.
The Social Welfare Department has reported that in the past year, abuse cases against girls were higher than those involving boys. According to Women, Family and Community Minister Dato Sri Nancy Shukri, boys are more likely to face physical abuse, while girls experience higher rates of sexual and emotional abuse.
Child abuse cases are categorized into physical, sexual and emotional abuse. In 2023, there were 2,328 cases of sexual abuse against girls, compared to 195 involving boys. Similarly, in 2024, 1,149 cases involved girls, while boys accounted for 111 cases. So far, in 2024, the Social Welfare Department has received a total of 2,240 cases of abuse against children. This is less from last year's 4,469 children by comparison.
We will be back with more after the break. 1 day since the ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon's Hezbollah took effect, reports of Israeli strikes continue to emerge from villages in the south. Jad Faya from An-Nahar in Lebanon shares more about the current situation in Beirut.
Many civilians and many displaced people try to go back to their villages in the south, in the southern suburb of Beirut. We call it in Lebanon Al-Dahiya Al-Janubiyya, and to the Bekaa Valley, those regions that were hit and struck by Israel every day. Many of them could go back to their houses, but they found that their houses either partially damaged or totally damaged because of the destruction and the strikes. Many people managed to go back to their houses, and the others are still waiting in order to fix their houses and be able to go back. But we have to mention one important point, that some Israeli troops are still found in some border regions in the south, and they are banning people and warning people not to go back to these regions until they withdraw from these regions. So it's a little bit complicated, but we can say that 90% of the displaced people have returned to their regions.
Despite the ceasefire agreement in place, Jad reported that Israel has not been upholding its end of the deal.
After the ceasefire, the Israeli troops struck 3 times in Lebanon, 2 times yesterday and once today, in Markaba, in I think Marjayoun, and one other region. And all those are border villages. Israeli struck 3 times and wounded 2 people in the south, and even captured 4 fighters of Hezbollah after the ceasefire. So Israel isn't committing totally to the agreement.
All eyes will now be on the next 60 days in Beirut, whether the ceasefire holds or if fighting continues. Jad describes the sentiments on the ground, particularly among civilians caught in the crossfire.
They are happy because the war has ended and they are able to go back to their villages and to their homeland. But on the other side, they are just feeling sad and disappointed because of everything that happened, of the destruction of the war. Many people lost their houses, even many people lost their relatives in this war. So they are facing mixed feelings. Regarding the 60 days period, both sides are just watching each other, and the people in Lebanon are just wishing that this ceasefire continues in the upcoming 60 days. There is an international committee headed by the United States of America. It must monitor this ceasefire and monitor the actions of both sides. So we're gonna see if they will really implement the deal or not.
Jad added that the next 60 days is also crucial to watch for Hezbollah, echoing similar situations involving UN Security Council Resolution 1701 that ended the last war in 2006.
After this deal right now, we have to watch and monitor what's going to happen. If the Lebanese cabinet insists on dismantling Hezbollah's facilities and bases in the south, and if Hezbollah agrees on this, on the dismantling, Hezbollah might retreat from the south, and the Lebanese army might enter, and there will be no clashes. But if Hezbollah rejects to withdraw from all the 1701 regions, we mean the southern of the Litani River, then and the Lebanese cabinet insists to dismantle its facilities, then we might see clashes. Israel troops might go back to firing and bombing the Hezbollah's base in the south.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres says a ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon that took effect on Wednesday was the first ray of hope in the regional conflict after months of escalation. He called on for all parties who signed on to the ceasefire commitment to respect it in full.
He said this in a short televised statement during a visit to his native Lisbon, adding that the UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon was ready to monitor the ceasefire. He also reiterated his call for an immediate ceasefire in Gaza. The ceasefire brokered by the United States had came into effect on Wednesday morning. It gives Israeli forces and Hezbollah fighters 60 days to withdraw from southern Lebanon.
South Korea is reeling from its heaviest November snowfall in half a century, leaving at least 4 people dead as the country battles severe winter conditions for a second day. More than 40 centimeters of snow blanketed parts of Seoul, forcing the cancellation of over 140 flights.
Ferry services were also suspended, causing widespread disruption. Local media report that one person died when a snow-laden net collapsed on Wednesday, while another was killed in a similar incident involving a protective tent at a parking lot. Additionally, traffic accidents east of the capital claimed at least 2 more lives. This snowfall ranks as the 3rd heaviest recorded in Seoul since 1907. Though heavy snow warnings were lifted by mid-morning Thursday, the impact continues to be felt across the nation.
3 Americans detained in China have returned home after a prisoner swap negotiated by the Biden administration. The exchange, confirmed by Chinese authorities, involved the release of 3 Chinese nationals held in U.S. custody.
Local media reported that the freed Americans Mark Swiden, Kylie, and John Leung landed at Joint Base San Antonio in Texas on Wednesday evening. Swiden had been detained since 2012, facing a death sentence on drug charges he always denied. Kylie was held since 2016 on espionage allegations, and John Leung, arrested in 2021, was serving a life sentence for spying. This deal reportedly took years to finalize. The Biden administration also upgraded its travel advisory for China following the release of the Americans, a move long sought by Beijing.
Several of U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's cabinet nominees and picks for his White House team have been targeted by bomb threats, according to the FBI. Spokesperson for Trump's transition team, Caroline Leavitt, says this includes harassment targeting incoming administration nominees and appointees.
Threats were made against at least 9 people chosen by Trump to lead the Departments of Defense, Housing, Agriculture and Labor, as well as his pick for U.S. ambassador to the United Nations, among others. Police are investigating the incidents, which happened since Tuesday night. Trump, who survived 2 assassination attempts during his campaign, was not among those who received the hoax calls. None of those targeted this week were protected by the U.S. Secret Service.
That wraps up AWANI tonight. Do check out our web portal, keeping you informed on the critical events shaping our world, all in one place at international.astroawani.com. That's all for now. I'm Cynthia Ng. Thank you for watching. Good night.